Yeah, I know. I know. Hello. One person. Oh, hi, baby. Gloves on. Ugh. Me struggling to put on gloves. Where is it? Hello. Let's make something cute. Oh, look at this cute. Let me see. Let's try to make this cutie right here. There is a bit of a delay between what I'm doing and what you guys can see. So because of that, I do apologize. Hi, welcome to the live. I'm just gonna be doing some 3D sculpting. So we can get started. What if I have a lighter blue? I have a ton of blues. I don't know which one would be best. I think I might mix these two Sissy Clay blues to get that sky blue. Hello everyone, welcome in. Sorry I started a bit late. We were having some technical difficulties. We're gonna do a lot of this blue. And just a teensy bit of that cooler blue. Yeah. And we're gonna try to power stiff mix these together. I think that's the hardest part about clays, is mixing them. Especially in this cold German weather. They get so stiff. I think I might need to add a bit more of that pale cool blue. The Sissy Pastel collection is so much drier than their first collection, their normal color collection. I guess maybe it's because they probably do a lot of white base and just very little color to get those pastels. But I'm going to try to mix these together really well. So you don't just see that turquoise, that pastel turquoise, and is that even turquoise? Yeah, it's turquoise. My favorite 3D sculpting products. As in like the actual product material or sculpting tools products? I'm gonna go with the actual products. I think it kind of falls into two different categories because I feel like for different 3D tasks, you need different 3D clays. For my character designs, like what I'm doing here, I like drier clays, something that's a bit more tougher to mold and sculpt. It kind of reminds me of messing with Fimo clay. But if I'm making like a 3D rose, a much softer clay I tend to like. So if I had to choose for my 3D flowers, I have been obsessed with this new brand that I got, Dyra Nail Art. And for my stiffer clays, which I say stiffer, a little bit looser, I do love sculpting characters with Chris Ianieri's Chris clays. I just wish that she had a larger variety of clays, because I know like she recently came out with her pastel one. I have not gotten that one because I'm still trying to go through the Sissy clays that I got. Yeah. But that's just pretty much it. I do love the Chris Ianieri clays, and I really like these for my 3D flowers, which I'm going to use for the sunflower petals, but I like to have something a bit more stiffer when working with molding characters. Okay. You guys, I think I did a really good job. That is sky blue. Okay, so she has a little hat, bonnet, I don't know what it's called, that's going to be larger than her head and then practically covered up completely by the flower petals. So we're going to take a good amount, not too much, because we do want it to cure all the way. Guys, this is my first time making this character, so if it doesn't come out looking good, I apologize. I hate gloves. At some point, if you guys see me take my gloves off, you ain't see nothing, you ain't hear nothing. I literally hate sculpting with gloves. But you gotta wear them. Because safety is more important than, I don't know where I was going with that, but your safety is very important. Okay, so I'm creating her little hat thing. And then after I create the hat thing, I'm gonna do the first round of petals before adding her head. This is 70% alcohol. Hi, welcome in. I love to use 70% because it's a low percentage of alcohol, therefore it doesn't dry as fast. And I don't get that dry, it's like this weird dry layer of just like crust that sometimes happens on my 3D clays when I use like my swipe or a high percentage alcohol. So that's what I kind of want to avoid. So I tend to just stick to 70% for sculpting. One thing about me, I am never straight. I'm always leaning. I'm sorry, you guys. The chat is a little bit delayed, and I tend to forget what I said like 2 seconds ago. Victoria, you said me too. I used to swatch my polygels. Oh, the 70% alcohol. You guys, I'm sorry. I promise you, I might be a little slow. I completely forgot I was talking about 70% alcohol. Sorry, it's gonna take me a minute. This is why I don't do lives. It never works out for me. I don't even know what I'm talking about half of the time. I take such a long time to do things because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Mind you, all those little divots that was on there is probably gonna get covered up, but I'm like excessively trying to get it right. I hate gloves. All the little ugly indents I have is because of gloves. So you have to let your 3D molding clays cure for a total of 60 seconds. Just as a safety precaution. The rest of this blue is going to be used for her little dress. So I'm going to kind of scoop her out the way. And then I'm going to create the mixture for her little petals. I wish I could post it up so you guys can constantly see what I'm making. But I don't know how to do that. So okay, so for the flowers, I'm going to use these two carving gels. This is a very soft carving gel. However, it still keeps its hold. So I'm able to get really thin petals without worrying about it breaking apart or like falling apart, which I love. So let me also grab orange to create this mustard yellow. I'm going to use these three colors. Yeah, and maybe a little brown. Maybe brown. Maybe. We'll start with yellow and orange first. If you guys have any questions for me, just let me know. The white is just going to be there to kind of tone down some of this orange. Yeah, because that orange is really bright. You see, I love this molding clay. It's so manageable. Like, it's soft enough to where I can easily mold it and mix it. But it still holds its structure really well. So I'm able to get these super tiny petals. I think I need to add more yellow. Hello to everyone coming in or coming back. See what I mean? That orange completely overpowered all of that. Whatever I don't use, I just scrape up and put into another container. So the back petals are going to be larger than the front. So we're going to pick up really decent sized amounts of the clay. Okay, I need to put the glove back on. And sunflowers are going to be thin at the bottom and large at the top, or fat at the top. And so pretty much, I'm just gonna try to flatten this as much as possible while keeping that sunflower shape. And whenever I get a chance, I'll lift it up, flip it over so it doesn't stick. And if it's not coming out the way you like it, try again. I need to snip off just a bit of this. That shit happens all the time, bro. That stuff happens all the time, bro. I'm sorry if I go quiet. Try to focus hard on concentrating. Yeah, this shit's gonna piss me off. actually gonna put this petal a little low. I made it a little too long. The art of trying to find the right brush. First petal. Hi, Melissa. Sorry if I miss anyone's message. I actually glued to the thing. And we'll just keep going. I'm gonna try to make them a little bit smaller so they don't cover all of that blue, but I can always just go back and add a little bit more blue to the top of the hat. Hello to anyone coming in. Sorry if I'm a little quiet. I don't even know if I can play music. I don't want to get like copyrighted or kicked off. This is YouTube. And she's very strict about things like that. I'm like, I'm gonna try to make these smaller. Every one of them has been big. Okay, Debbie, hi. Thank you for stopping in. You guys, when I try to concentrate, I get like super quiet. Like super freaking quiet. I don't know why I do that. It's just like my brain stops working. Okay, and then I'm gonna add one more and then stop because she has like a little dress. Yeah, she has like a little dress. So I'll do one more stop at the head and go ahead and move on to the clothes before doing that last round of petals. If you are new to the live, I'm creating this little cutie right here. So I'm gonna finish out all of these petals. I made my petals much bigger, so I'm not gonna have as many petals as this one. But I'm gonna finish the last one on this side and then do 3 on the other side before stopping to apply the head and the clothes. So pretty much with this petal, what I'm focusing on is getting that round up top and then keeping it very thin towards the center, because that's where it's going to meet her little head. I don't really know what to talk about. Let's pick this one up. Please don't hate me. Okay. And we're gonna put this one right here. And again, this layer right here doesn't really matter because it is really going to be covered up by her head as well as the other petals. And then I'm going to take this pointy and use that to create little line divots. And then I'm going to cure this. And just pretty much keep on going. It's like a repeated practice. Just a bit more. Guys, I hope I'm not boring you. I really hope I'm not boring you. There's quite literally not much going on. No, seriously, you do need a lot of patience for this because it's just repeating, so much repeating, especially the more like intricate you get with what you're 3D sculpting. Okay, that's good to hear. That is so good to hear. I'm glad that I'm not boring you guys. If we finish this quicker than, because I don't want to be on live for like 6 hours. So if we finish this before my little mental 2-hour time mark of being on live, what else would you guys like to see me make? Let me know if there's something in particular. Okay, now it's time to rinse and repeat. And a long set? Okay. How long are we talking? How long are we talking? Like stacking tips long or just like my basic long? Like the longest half cover tip I have is, so they're all about this length. Like they're all about here in length. Like you guys want me, like you want me to scope this entire tip uncut? Let me know. But when it comes to like stacking tips, that's scary. But I'll give it a try. I've never stacked the tip because I don't tend to like my nails that long. But I'll try it out. It's a first time for everything. Okay, cool, yeah. If this doesn't take me forever, which I really hope it doesn't, if anything, I'll probably just completely do the head and leave the body for another time. And then we can, and make them sharp. Oh, you got it. Okay, Lonnie, I know what you like. I got you. So yeah, I'll just do the head of this little girlie, and then we can get into sculpting. Half cover tip sculpting. Which I'm not that good at, I will add, not that good at building a nail, but I have my methods that allows for my nails to look good. Because when I went and got my nail license, I learned acrylic and not gel. We had like one little section on gel before moving back to acrylic, so I didn't really learn much about gel. So everything that I know about hard gel sculpting, I learned on my own and from like classes that I took. So I have tips and tricks because all that really matters, not about the application, how pretty the application was. All that matters is the end result pretty. That's all that matters. And I am a huge believer in that. Sometimes my application days, Light Elegance is a good gel brand. And they have a ton of lines of gel products that meets every nail tech. Yeah, because Light Elegance, I believe, only sells to nail technicians, licensed nail technicians. So, yeah, they have a ton of lines. They have a line that I think I have. Yeah, it's the One Step line. And they say that this line is best for beginner nail artists. And this was the line that I first bought because I heard a ton of praises about how good it is for beginner nail techs. Once upon a time, I did love this, but now it's a little too runny, so it self-levels really quickly, and yeah, I tend to stay away from this and go towards something that, especially for longer nails, I go towards something that's a bit more thick. Does that make sense? Something that's a bit more thick and has a very slow self-leveling, especially for long nails, because I want to take my time to manipulate and put the gel where I want to put it. Oh, okay, I'm just going to grab a new piece because that's stuck. Oh, I hate gloves. I hate them so much, but I don't want to get dragged for not using the glove. You guys ain't going to snitch on me if I don't use a glove because it's irritating me. Don't snitch on me and don't cancel me, okay? Don't be like me. Wear your gloves. Wear your gloves, kids. Yeah, thick gel is just so much easier to work with, especially if you're doing long nails. Like, I love me a softer viscosity gel for when I'm doing like short to medium sized nails, but the moment I do long to extra long, I need a thicker gel. I don't care if my end result is very lumpy and bumpy. Don't care. I need me a thick gel because it's just so much slower of a self-leveling, and this is way too small. It's so much slower of a self-leveling, and it's just a lot easier for me to manipulate the gel because you have a long way to go with long nails. Okay. Yeah, that's better. And a great tip that has been working for me when it comes to 3D flowers and creating 3D flower petals is watching people make like 3D flowers out of porcelain clay or polymer clay. Like, find the ones that are extremely detailed because it's kind of the same sense when using a 3D molding gel. There's like a certain kind of shape that you want to have for all the petals. And then after that, it's just more of a layering effect and making sure that you have your petals very thin and delicate. So that's why I really recommend on finding a clay that's like Dyro Nail Art clays. A good dupe that I notice works good enough, not as good as Dyro's, but good enough, is the E&J clays, and I got these from AliExpress, and I was able to create some roses with them. I believe I created let's see, I created this rose with them, so it's good enough. It's not perfect and it's not as easily manageable as Dyro's nail art clays, but it's good enough and it's really cheap. You get like 12 for like 30 some bucks. You get like a pack of 12 for like 30 bucks. It could be a little different, I don't know. But it's good enough, and they have a collection like 1 out of 12 and then a 12 out of 24, I think. 2 different sets. And they're good enough. They'll get you, they're the type of clays that you're looking for. Manageable enough to where you can easily mix them, but they still hold themselves well when you're thinning it out like this. Okay. Let's see. Please don't hate me. I need to flatten this out because it's getting a little too thickums. Hello to anyone coming in or coming back. Almost lost that one. Oh, a little too heavy. Okay. I feel like I'm repeating the same processes over and over. There's like 1,000 petals on this little creature. 1,001 petals on her. Yeah, quite literally 1,001 petals. And I'm really using the body, so like this part of the brush, to manipulate it and kind of move the gel where I want it to go and thin it out. Because using that body is going to kind of ensure that you, one, don't mess up your brush. Especially like punching it in with the tip of the brush, because that's going to cause it to fray. It's going to low-key become like my Crissaionary brush. Rest in peace. But you just kind of want to be very gentle with it. Okay. Beautiful. Oh, I guess this is the last petal. Great, let me be smarter about this. Okay, this is the last petal for the back of the sunflower. She's looking a little ugly. But am I going to take her off? No, I'm not. She's going to have to stay looking ugly. Oh, one brush. You guys know, like, the tails of peacocks? That's what it looks like right now. Looks like the tail of a peacock. The blue ones I got from Michaels in the States. Yeah, they've been used and abused, but they're perfect. They're made for like polymer clay sculpting. So, and it was like a pack for like $4. And then like these tools. Yeah, you can make a turkey this way. You put the little cockadoodle, the body, not the cockadoodle. And it become a turkey. And these tools I got from AliExpress. All of them I've gotten from AliExpress. Took me a second to remember. Okay. We're gonna pop her in. And then I'm gonna use this one. I got this clay from AliExpress as well. I love this clay for sculpting faces. And this is a very stiff clay, a very, very stiff clay. You're gonna need about a good amount, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that should be enough. If you are coming onto the stream, hi, welcome in. Please, when dealing with gel clays, wear gloves. Don't be like me. Be better than me. She has a little cute round head, and it doesn't seem like she has like a little extra indent for her cheeks. Let me show you guys what I see. See, she just has a little round head, no little extra indents for her cheek. So she's actually gonna be really easy, and she has like a little pellet for the nose. And then after that, moving on to these flowers, they're gonna be, let me draw it for you. So they're gonna be shaped like this. They're gonna be round. I could have done that better. They're gonna be like, I don't want to do this. Like that almost. Going around her head. So they're not gonna come to a point like a normal petal. They're kind of gonna cut off halfway, like that. Yeah, that's the best way to explain it. Took me like 3 draws. That's ugly. Oh well. And it's pretty much gonna do that to kind of get the effect like it's, how do I say this? Like it's coming from her head rather than being just like on top of her head. Does that make sense? We got our little turkey tail down. Now we're gonna add her little round head. And that's gonna plop quite literally right in the center. So I typically recommend like doing, when building up bulk of a head, to work in layers. So do a very first layer that's really thin and then add more of the same color on top to like work the shape in. But in this case, we don't necessarily need to do that because her head doesn't have like an indent for her eyes. It's literally just like a circle and a little nose. So we can manipulate that with just a nice ball of clay. And after we got the clay where we want it, we're then gonna go in and add the rest of the sunflowers down here, leaving a little piece. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna add them, because then I'll have to sculpt her clothes first, and I don't want to get into that because I want to move on to showing you guys how I sculpt long nails. So pretty much what I'm going to do, because I'm just going to try to focus on keeping her head as circly as possible. In fact, do I want to... Yeah, actually I'm going to take her head off and cut this in half, because I don't want there to be too large of a gap in between the first set of petals and the second set of petals. I don't want there to be too large of a gap, because the second set of petals is going to be attached to her head, not necessarily laying on top of these flowers. And if I was to add as much as I had in my hand, then they would be floating so far away from the rest of the petals. And I don't want that. So I'm quite literally just going to cut this little bulb in half. But the same rule applies to where I'm not going to be building up layers. I'm just going to add this piece here and get it to the shape that I want. Yeah, that's much better. And one thing I love about nails and nail art and things like this is that I'm working as I'm going, figuring things out, figuring out how I want things to look like, what direction I want to take. And at the same time, with these mistakes that I make, I'm learning how to be better for my next practice session, my next project. I love it, and it's fun. It gets my little creative brain working. I'm always on Pinterest, looking for things, looking at things, wondering and figuring out if that's something that I can smoke, what the heck? Sculpt, not smoke. Lord have mercy. Okay. Look at our little sunflower girl. She's almost done. Kinda. Not really. Okay. So now when I place the second set of petals on her head to kind of get that effect pretty much of it's like coming out of her head, there won't be such a large gap between these petals and this one. So that was pretty much what I was trying to do. I don't know who creates these little characters on Pinterest, but I think they're AI. Let me see. Yeah, it says AI modified. Okay. I'm gonna pop this into Cure, and then grabbing from this little, I'm gonna take the tiniest bit for her nose. And that's it. That's all she is a nose. The tiniest of noses. Yeah, quite literally the tiniest of noses. And everything else is drawn on. We're gonna do the tiniest of noses. And I'm gonna pull out this cat tongue brush because it looks like a little cat tongue. Damn, Des, how you put the nose on Cricket? Okay, there we go. Okay, and I'm gonna be a little bit of a maniac and take my pointed silicone brush and blend the edges of the nose to really make it look like it's coming out of her head rather than just a little piece that I added on. And here's a little tea, especially for the only person on my live. This is how I blend my clays together when I'm creating more intricate work. I lay it down and I take my tiny silicone brush and I go around the edges of everything that I laid down and just gently smooth it over to blend it. And you got the tiniest of noses. And it looks like it's a part of her face. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. Probably not with my shadow. And then just to make it a bit more effortless, I go around the edges to really soften that. Okay, I'm gonna pop that into Cure. Yeah, for all of my characters, that's what I do. To get pretty much a smooth, even finish. Like, especially for this little old man here, I did the same thing. I will lay down a large, where I pretty much, what feature I'm creating, and then blend it out to, blend the edges out to kind of incorporate it with that first layer of clay that I added. And that's how I create my features. Ugh. Okay, now that we got this little head done, we're gonna move on to the second set of flowers. Like I mentioned before, they're not gonna be pointy at the ends. They're gonna be squarish. I don't know if that makes sense, squarish. I don't really know my shapes. Do the same thing, scoop up a bit. This time it's gonna stay a circle and not be pointed at the end. try our best to get the shape that we want. You guys know like a guitar puck and how it's like a rounded triangle? I think that shape. Yeah, that shape. And then we're gonna add the base on like that. I did not want to pick you up. And then we're just gonna fold her over. Stick. Ugh. Okay, I lost too much of the shape. Okay. This shit is so finicky. Okay, let's try that again. We're gonna try to create a little guitar. What is it? Puck? Pick? Pick puck? I'll find out. Is that a guitar puck? I don't know how to explain things. Shit. Like, I feel like I'm so terrible at explaining things. And like, YouTube is my job. I should not be bad at explaining things. Like, at all. Okay. Gotta be very strategic. Okay, not even gonna try. Okay, that is exactly how I want it, but it's blocking the back flower, so I have to bring it forward. trying to scoot her over. Hi, welcome in. Glad you can make it. Okay, it's so close to how I want it. I just don't want to do something that ends up messing it up. Okay. I got all my Nell and Yoli palettes in the mail today. I absolutely love them. Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. If I'm the one that put you on, I'm so happy. I love them too. I want to purchase more. I hope that they're not too expensive, because I definitely want to purchase more. Hi, no, you're fine. How are you too? I'm doing well myself. I had a wonderful Christmas. Do you guys want to see my Christmas presents? So I got the completed Nell and Yoli brush set. Quite literally the entire brush set. And they're gorgeous. Not to mention just like the packaging itself is absolutely gorgeous. So pretty. And this was on my list of things to get. You guys will know if, like, of course, you watched the video. They were on my list of things to get, and hubby came through with this being one of my Christmas presents. Another one of my Christmas presents was the Nailology Lab Nail Liquid IV Kit, and I got quite literally everything. Oh, that's cute coil. Quite literally everything to do liquid nails. There's so much stuff. Quite literally everything to do liquid nails. I even got her clotting, clotting oil, as well as the Color Clock collection. So I want to do a video on trying these out. I've already started practicing because I'm not that good at the new method of doing liquid nails, like with the laminated paper and things like that, like with this thing. And doing liquid nails, I'll show you guys a little sneak peek since it's only 3 of you guys here in the chat. This was one of them that I did. I totally bombed it. I added way too much freaking glitter. I was like glitter happy. But it moves and it doesn't leak, and that's all that matters. Literally all that matters is that it moves and it doesn't leak. I also want to try it with the way that I've learned how to do liquid nails, and that is completely, let me see. How I learned how to do liquid nails was to do it fully encapsed. The entire nail fully encapsed. That's how I learned how to do them. And even then, it moves slow as hell. So that's how I learned how to do them. So I want to try her kit method with both the way that she recommends to use it, of course, but as well as the way that I know how to use it. So I want to do a video on that. So I really haven't indulged too much into it. Oh, I can't wait to see that video. I'm terrible at liquid nails. They always leak in. Yes, bulky as hell. And they all, like, I had the same, like, kind of problem, but I've learned ways to work around it. Which makes this method here really cool because it's so easy to create a nice thin, like this is literally the nail. So it's so easy to create a very effortless and thin tank. Yeah, it goes on my thumb. So that, I think I really like it for that fact, but I still have problems with it leaking. I've only recently learned how to combat that. I think the most important part is just having a gel that even if it does leak a little bit of oil, that you can easily just cover it without worrying about whether the gel is going to cure or not. Because some gels are like that when it has some foreign substance like oil, cuticle oil or anything like that, it has a hard time curing, and you don't want that in a gel. You want to make sure that it cures. I can't wait to make that video. I have to figure out exactly how I want to make them because, like I mentioned, I've been on Xiaohongshu for a good minute, and how they do their liquid nails is very different than how we do them here in the States. So I also want to like workshop some of their techniques because I found a couple videos showing me how they make their tanks. So I want to try that out, as well as trying out the full nail tank, which is the way that I learned how to do it, or I should say I taught myself how to do. Yeah, I can't wait either. I don't like, would you guys mind if it's a long video? Because I have a feeling that it's going to be a long video. Because there's so many things that I want to try out with it, especially the clotting oil. I think, because I followed her, I think on TikTok, and I would watch some of her videos, and I'm like, oh, I never really felt the need to purchase the collection or her kits, because I'm like, well, all I need is baby oil and I can do the same thing. You know, tea. Like, all I need is baby oil and I can do the same thing. It wasn't until she dropped her clotting oils as well as the colors and stuff to the clotting oils, I was like, okay, now that right there is evolution. I ain't never seen nothing like that before. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bite the gun and get it. Long videos are awesome. Oh my gosh, yes, long videos. Okay, perfect. Then I won't feel guilty about posting a long video, because long videos are, there's something, and it's so hard, like, because I want to keep in as much information as possible, because that's just me. When I look for YouTube videos, I want as much information as possible, so I have something to work with when I want to go try something out myself. But the girlies don't be making long videos, and the girlies don't be watching long videos. So I'm like, okay, if I post this long video, is people gonna watch it? Like, every time my videos are like 50 minutes long, I'm like, ain't nobody gonna watch this. But here it is. I don't mind long videos. I'm learning all the time. There are so many hauls and such, I feel like. Yeah, hauls do get everyone views. I feel like I have a lot of hauls, but at the same time, I don't. Is that weird? Like, I feel like I have a lot of hauls. Because, again, hauls do get you views. Like, all of my most viewed videos are hauls. So, it's the truth, yo, you guys. The girlies gonna want to watch what you buy. And I spend a lot of money when it comes to nails. I spend a lot of money when it comes to the nails. So yeah, but at the same time, that's not what I want my channel to be, because I know the feeling. I know the feeling of wanting to learn how to do something and scouring the internet just for a little glimpse of something that will push you towards the right direction. And that's kind of what I want my channel to be. I want to be that channel that gives you something that pushes you towards the direction that you want to go. So I try to do a lot of videos about mastering nail art and yeah, get your bag, but educate me in between. Period. I will. I got you, baby. I got you. My next, and this is tea, my next mastering nail art is going to go into how do I plan my nail sets, especially my ones that lean a little bit more intricate, and also how I create my graphs for my detailed nail art. So how am I able to create the grid lines and stuff like that on my nail tips to begin to sketch whatever I'm trying to sketch. So keep an eye out on that. I also want to kind of dip my feet into lace nails. So I have a video planned on lace nails. And I don't mean just like buying a stamp where I can just stamp the lace on the nails. No, I mean like drawing the lace myself. So I want to create some nails with that. I've been thinking about it. I had a dream about it. And typically when I dream about something, I'm going to do it. So yeah, like I really want to be a channel that helps educate. And I say educate very loosely because most of the time I'm flying by the seat of my pants too. Literally most of the time I'm flying by the seat of my pants. But if I find a technique that works for me, like who am I to not share? Because I, more than anything, want someone to share techniques and things like that with me. So, yep. Hence why we are currently sitting here sculpting a little sunflower girly pop. Sunflower girly pop. Okay, that is way too long. I might take her off. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Do you know what? I love you guys down. Y'all are the reason why I'm delusional too. Y'all are so sweet. Half the time I feel like the things I be saying don't be making sense, but then you guys are in the comments like, no girl, you make sense, keep going. Okay. I think I need to cut this one in half. Alright, would you guys hate me if I put on this last petal and then move on to, like I'll do this last petal and then stop to show you guys how I sculpt long nails, because that's gonna take a minute. And we're already about like an hour and 33 minutes in to this live. So let me know now, after I put on this last petal, you can put this project to the side and pull out my hard gels. Let me know now. So I know what you guys want to see. I might not even put on this petal. Okay, so let me put on this last petal and then we will clean up our carving gels to up some hard gel. If this petal goes on smoothly. If this petal don't go on smoothly, then I'm just gonna put it away. Okay, got my stamp of approval from the girls. That petal just had to go on ugly. If anything, I will finish sculpting this on my Instagram stories. Okay. I'm just gonna cure that. Because it's not turning out the way I want it to, so. Okay, let me quickly clean up. And then we will get into the long nails. I'm probably going to be on live for the next, I'll say I'll be on live for the next probably 45, maybe 50 minutes, depending on how smoothly my gel application goes. So just hop in whenever you can, girly, and I will make sure I'll save it as a video so you can always come back to watch as well. Okay. Another thing that I got for Christmas was this new mat, which I needed because my last mat, that girl was dirty. She was very dirty. So I'm gonna try my hardest to keep this one clean, but no promises. I'm trying to clean up as quickly as possible. She's just going to be scooting everything to one side. Okay. I have no idea where it's at, so. Okay, looks like we're going to be using this brush. Because I have another one, but I have no idea where it's at, so I'm not even going to try to look for it. This is the Young Nails Pro Gel Sculptor number 5. And I love this brush because it's very small, so I can really get in there to all my little nubbies, stubby nubbies. And when I'm sculpting longer nails, I like to do a hard gel. So We can do Peach Perfect from Lisette Gel Nails or Elgin Pro. Goodbye. Okay. I'm gonna close that up because I need to prep my nail. Okay. So, first things first, with prepping the nail, we gotta push our cuticles back. And when using metal pushers, you really want to be very gentle. As gentle as possible. Let me know if you guys can't see me because I become a video hogger when doing my own nails. My favorite bits to use is a round cylinder, and I believe they call this a flame bit because it goes fat to a tip. Those are my favorite cuticle bits to use. To the point where I buy extra of these. Bruh. Don't piss me off. There we go. And when I'm doing cuticle work, I keep my RPMs fairly low, anywhere between a 5 to a 10. In nail school, she had us doing cuticles at like a 15 RPM, so it is safe to do cuticles at 15 RPM. I just choose not to because I know myself and I can sometimes be very heavy-handed. So just, yeah, rather not. And the idea is that you really want to keep your, oh my gosh, my mind just blanked, your drill bit parallel to your nail. So you never want to tilt upwards. You really want to keep it very flat to the nail. So no matter what I do, I am flat to the nail, especially around this area here. When I get to my sidewalls, because my sidewalls for me are my problem area, I really like to just gently tilt, but I'm not digging. So let me see. Do I have something I can explain it on? Do we have something I can explain? Okay, so I'm doing it on this. This is me being parallel to where the tip is and where I am, it's equal. When I'm doing this is also me being parallel, but the moment you start to dig like this, that's when you're gonna cause heat spikes, yes, but you're gonna cause a ring of fire because you're kind of like digging into your nail plate, and that's a no-go. When you create large indents into your nail plate, sometimes they can be permanent. So we don't want to do that. We want to stay as parallel as possible. And then if we have to tilt forward, do not tilt as much. Just do a light tilt. And if you're doing someone else's nails, just make sure you're always checking in with them as frequently as possible. Ask them if they're okay. Ask them if you're hurting them, or does this hurt? Am I hurting you? Because you're not doing it on yourself, so you're not going to know their pain level or their threshold. But if you really just stay parallel to the nail tip, you're not going to hurt. Parallel to the nail, you're not going to hurt anyone with a diamond bit. Hopefully. Excuse all the dust. It's been a minute since I've done my nails. I really never really do my nails unless I have an idea of how I want it to look, or like I'm doing a nail tutorial. So one thing that I love is having these little dust brushes. I think they're called dust brushes. But I'll use this to clean the dust off, and I keep it on my pinky. Because especially if someone has like really bad cuticles and is kicking up a ton of cuticle dust, you can brush away so you can see exactly where you're placing that bit and what you want to remove and what you don't want to remove. And what I do a lot, because I have chubby fingers, is I will manipulate, pull back my skin so I can see exactly where I need to put that bit, what exactly I need to remove. And yeah, that's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to switch to my cylinder bit. With the cylinder bit, you really want to make sure that you're staying on the eponychium fold. You do not really want to place that cylinder bit on the natural nails, because this can too cause damage, and it can cause a little dip. So you really want to really focus this on your eponychium fold. So up here, try not to get it too much on the nail, and if you are going to use it on the nail, make sure it's really flat and you're using the body and not that tip. And this one, same thing. I'm gonna put it back 9 RPMs and I use it to further push back my eponychium fold so it lifts up that dead skin, so I can easily clip and see exactly where I'm clipping. So this is really getting contact with my eponychium. Here's a little bit of nail info. Your eponychium is your live skin, and what is attached to it is the dead cuticles. Typically, when you are removing cuticles, so your cuticles is the stuff that's attached to your nail plate that you lift up when you push them back with your cuticle pusher. But the little piece of skin that is attached to is your eponychium fold. That is live skin. You do not want to cut that. It will cause you to bleed, and cuticle bleed is like a forever bleed. And if you have nicked yourself, please make sure you use like, what is that Band-Aid stuff, the liquid Band-Aid, to seal it up nice, because you get any bacteria into any cuts that you have along your eponychium. It can cause some very bad bacterial infections in your nail. I've seen inside my nail book pictures of like black thumb. It's pretty much like someone's thumb got infected and it died. Like all the cells in the finger died. So please be very careful when it comes to your eponychium and removing the cuticles off of your eponychium. Sometimes I don't even remove my cuticles. And then you're kind of on top of doing your cuticle work, you're going to realize that the dead cuticles don't grow back as bad as it was. maybe the first time you did it in like 6 to 7 months. Yeah, you guys, the black thumb gets real bad. So you really, like, especially when it comes to your fingers, because your fingers come into contact with so many germs and just nasty stuff. You really, really, really want to be careful about how you handle that eponychium. Yeah, now I feel like, how do I say this? That's one thing that I kind of wish nail techs online would talk about. It's the importance of skin health, because like everyone knows about heat spikes and everyone knows about ring of fire and all that stuff, because it very much is a wow kind of like oh yeah, like guys, make sure you're doing this correctly, blah blah blah. But when it comes to like actual skin health and how like damaging the misappropriation of drill bits and drills and your cuticle nippers, those things can cause really bad stuff to happen to your fingers, which comes in contact with so much germs. And sometimes you can get in contact with a germ that just your body can't fight, and it will pretty much can cause like inflammation, and the inflammation cut off blood circulation to that finger, and then that finger becomes black and it has to be amputated before it infects, like the infection get into your bloodstream and all this stuff. Yeah, it's a lot. So if I taught you something new, I'm glad I could. So after that, I then take the base and keeping it on a 9. And again, it's on 9 RPM, so that it doesn't hurt me. And I'm just gonna gently go over. I don't really focus too much on this. Sometimes I just do it just to kind of quickly get rid of some of that shine. And after that, I'm done. And that is my cuticle work. If I need to clip, I will clip only what's necessary. So for me, what's only necessary to clip is along my side walls, because again, my side walls are my problem area. No, don't be scared. I did not mean to scare you. I'm just saying this as a word of caution. Please be cautioned. There are correct ways of doing things and there are wrong ways of doing things. So if I can show you the correct way, then I'm going to show you. So the best thing to do to limit infections, limit anything, is to make sure you're cleaning your tools properly and you're using your tools properly. Especially if you're not doing nails, what type of design are you doing? I don't know. I didn't really think about design. Okay, wait, you guys, I get distracted real easily. I get distracted real easily. If you guys have a design that you would like me to do, let me know. Right now, I know I'm doing a very sharp stiletto, and I'm going to be using Peach Perfect from LGM Pro. But I get distracted real quickly. I don't know what I was talking about, but I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to clip my cuticles and show you guys the way that I clip them to kind of ensure that I don't nip into my eponychium. This is what works for me when I'm doing my own nails. I try to approach it a little bit different when I'm cutting someone else's cuticles. So what I like to do is I will try to expose as much of the skin as possible. So I will pull along wherever I'm cutting. So if I'm on this side of the nail, I'm pulling this side of the nail. If I'm on here, pulling that. If I'm up here, I'm pulling it. Because I want to expose the dead skin. And this is a great rule of thumb. You'll hear it no matter where you're looking up nail stuff for. No matter where you're looking for nail stuff, yeah. Only clip the translucent white parts. Oh, yeah, we were cleaning my... No, girl, you are fine. It's my fault. I lose my train of thought. It's me. Please make sure you clean your tools properly. That was the point I was trying to make early on. Yeah, so I use Barbicide because Barbicide is a great way to disinfect your tools. Barbicide does not sterilize your tools, it disinfects. But if you're not doing nails on anyone else but yourself, you guys, just making sure you clean it with a little bit of soap and water and then wipe it down with some alcohol. You're literally only using it on yourself. You do not need to go out and buy a Barbicide as a disinfectant. You don't. Just make sure you're using, if you do buy a disinfectant, I should say, make sure you're using cosmetic grade disinfectant. Please do not go out and buy like house cleaning disinfectant and clean. It will destroy and deteriorate your tools. So, but if you are doing nails on yourself, a little bit of soap, water, and then however you choose fit to clean the nails yourself. If you're doing nails on other people, please go to your local nail shop, local nail supply. Order on Amazon, especially in the States. You can order it on Amazon. Get some Barbicide and disinfect your tools. And then you can also take it a step further and sterilize your tools, but you would need like a whole sterilization thing. And we were taught that it's not necessary to sterilize your tools, but a lot of clients do appreciate if their nail tech also sterilizes the tools. And I got my nail license in Florida. Every state is a little different. Okay, I'm gonna try to read the comments. I'm from the UK and I'm qualified, but I stopped doing clients because that's me. And I stopped taking clients because oftentimes they don't want to do the things I want to do. I love crazy nails, and that's what gives me a drive to go. Yeah. So I love stretching my limits of my art. I love anyone that lets me do nail art on them or design nails. And when I was taking clients, they were very strict about what they wanted, and I just wasn't enjoying it. And one thing I do not want to do is fall out of love with nails. That's a big no-no for me. I just brought everything I needed from Light Elegance. It is so fun, but a lot harder than I thought. This is very helpful. I love Light Elegance, especially if you are a beginner licensed nail tech, because I do believe they only sell to licensed nail techs. They will also sell to you if you are a student in nail school too. I do love them. They have a ton of products fit for beginners, and they also have their own like classes and things like that to use their products correctly. I have the Light Elegance lamp as well as their step 1 products. I love them as well. Clean your tools. Have you ever had clients? Yeah, when I finished, okay, I do not recommend this, but I was unlicensed taking clients, but they were mainly family and friends, and I made sure to let them know, your girl ain't licensed, okay? I'm doing this under the table. I do not recommend that though. Please, if you have the funds, get your license. If you don't have the funds, do not take clients outside of your family, okay? Yeah. So let's get into cutting my cuticles. So like I mentioned before, I pinch to expose exactly where I want to cut. And so there's a bit of a delay on my camera, so I'm going to carefully try to zoom in. So I'm going to clip this little area right here. Y'all, don't get on me about my nails. Please don't get on me about my nails. And that's pretty much what I wanted to remove. So one trick, rather other than the pulling back what I need to see, one thing I love to do is, I don't know, should I teach this? Babe, can I borrow your finger? Can I borrow your finger? I'm gonna try to do it on myself first, and then my husband's gonna come in and I'm gonna borrow his finger. So one thing that I like to do is I like to place this side of the clipper, and I will put it right up against my eponychium, and I will use that to kind of push back the eponychium to expose. Just put your finger over here. Okay, here's my husband. Oh, not that one. That one's ugly. I did his nails yesterday. Okay, so one thing that I do is I will take the base of this cuticle nipper and I like to place it here, right onto that eponychium, and kind of use that to push back. I already clipped his cuticle, so I'm not gonna clip, but I do that to push it back, and then when I see the little bit of that white cuticle sticking in between that, I clip. And I pretty much do the same thing going all the way across. Let me see if I can. So yeah, what I'll do is take that, base it right next to that, and I clip it. And that's just one way that I've learned to one thing I've learned to kind of keep from cutting into my eponychium. I was a little bit upset on whether I want to teach that, because it does take a lot of practice to know how to place the nipper before cutting down. Does that make sense? This could be the wrong way. I don't know, but it's the way that works for me, and it keeps me from cutting myself. Does that make sense? So let me see if I can. I wasn't sure if I clipped that part. You should only clip the white translucent part of the dead skin connected to your eponychium. I'm trying to be very careful on using the word cuticle, because technically the cuticle is the dead skin that's attached to your nail plate. Yeah, that's technically the cuticle. And it can grow attached to your eponychium, but sometimes, especially when you keep up with your nail maintenance, you're going to realize that you don't have much cuticle attached to that eponychium. So what I really want you guys to take away from this is the separation between the eponychium and the dead cuticle. The eponychium is the live skin. It's this brown fleshy part. It's the part of the skin that has color. Yeah, and then that dead skin attached to it is going to be translucent. It's not going to have any color, therefore there's no blood flowing through it. And oftentimes what I'll do is, if it's, how should I say this? If it's too thin, I won't cut it. And that's pretty much me. I know some nail techs will look at this and go, oh, that can be cut. Me personally, I won't cut it, because it's not like it's getting in the way. It's not excessively long or growing. I'm not gonna cut it. Even with my husband's, because his nails are a little damaged, I didn't cut all of his cuticle off. I just cut it what needs to be cut so it can look clean. And then I'm gonna have him come back in for a second session, to where then I really focus on really deep cleaning those cuticles. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then the last thing that I do after I went in and clipped as much of my cuticles as possible is I go back in with my round bit to just go around that eponychium a little bit more, just to get anything that I missed. Because again, like I said before, I'm very cautious when I'm cutting there. I don't go in and try to remove everything. I've noticed when I've tried to be meticulous and remove everything, that's when I end up hurting myself. So I refrain from doing that. Okay, so here I have I believe it's a 240. Yeah, it's a 240 mini sanding band. And I'm gonna take it onto my 100 grit file just to kind of blunt the edges, because oftentimes sanding bands, especially the normal sized ones, these ones, the edges of them are so like crisp that they will cut you too. So make sure you blunt those edges to refrain from cutting yourself. This one I put on about, I say at most 12. You just kind of don't want it to skip back on you. And what I mean when I say a drill bit can kind of skip back on you is if the drill bit is too low in a speed and you're trying to remove something or go over something, what will happen is it'll catch on whatever you're trying to remove or whatever you're trying to do. And I don't want it to catch, because that can also cause problems, because then it can get stuck. And the thing is still rotating, you know? So it can get really dangerous. I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to drill bits, but through my long history of quote unquote fucking myself up, I've learned some things. I tend to keep my sanding bands on a very low RPM, just high enough to where I won't cause any issue of it pretty much stopping and skipping while I'm trying to go over whatever I'm going over. And that's at about 12 RPM for me. Could be a little different for you. I am very light-handed when it comes to pressure or application of things. So, and again, I'm not trying to do too much. I'm just trying to remove a little bit of color. I got some excess hard gel still stuck on my nail. But I'm just trying to focus on removing color. So, removing shine, not color. And with this, when I get close to my cuticle area, I try to be as gentle as possible, because you wouldn't think that you would do a lot of damage with a sanding band, but you can do a lot of damage with a sanding band. In fact, sanding bands are one of the things that cause the most damage in our nail industry when it comes to drills. Because oftentimes in the chop shops, they have these bad boys on very high speeds and they're just sweeping over your nail. And if they're not too careful, they can cause rings of fire and large indents in the nail. So that's done. We are done with the nail prep. After that, I like to take a nail wipe with a little bit of acetone, and I'll use that to wipe away the debris. Lately, I have been liking using acetone over using my actual dehydrator that I have. Because as of lately, this dehydrator hasn't been doing that good for me. But this is the dehydrator that I normally use. But lately, I've just been going in with 100% alcohol. Okay, so I still have a little bit of lifting, but I'm not gonna try to attack that with my drill. I'm just gonna take my 180 Saini band and use that to get rid of that lifted gel. To be honest, I don't have any other than like the tips, and I only have one pair of tips. It's their sculpted stiletto long. I really like those tips. Those are the only thing I have from Apres. Because every time I'm like, okay, I'll go buy something from Apres, something else always catches my eye. So I end up buying it. And most likely it's like nail art stuff. And that's what I end up buying rather than going out and purchasing the Apres thing that I was looking at. But nowadays I haven't been doing full cover tips at all. I'll just use them to do like practice designs, but when it comes to doing nails on myself, I've been reaching for my hard gel because it's something that I want to get a lot smoother with my application. I'm not paying those prices for the tips. Sorry, but no way. I can feel that. I feel that. They can get wicked, especially when you're trying to, especially since you need so many. Like, you want to do stiletto, square, tapered square. Yeah, there's so many different shapes and new shapes coming out every day. Those prices can get very wicked. I bought one box to compare them with the tips I use, and they were no better, to be honest. I've heard recently a lot of people complaining about the quality. I'm going back in with a little bit more acetone to clean off the debris. But yeah, a lot of people on TikTok have been saying the same thing, that they've gotten some of their Apres tips, like they purchased some Apres tips and they weren't as good, I guess. I would say like they're perfect for a beginner or like people who just want to do their nails themselves. Especially if you just want to purchase their whole kit. They don't fit me, too small. Ah, damn. I would hate that. Spend all that money on them tips only for them not to fit. That'd piss me off. That'd piss me off real bad. Okay, so I'm usually about like a 2 in my tips, but as of lately, 2s have been a little too big. What is this? A 3. Let's also try a 4, just for shits and gigs. Dex, I swear I was honestly scratching my head. I thought that I was really missing out. Then when I got them, I was absolutely shooketh by the quality. Damn, that's tea. That's tea. I've only bought the long sculpted stilettos, and I literally have not bought any. I told myself that if I was gonna purchase some Apres, I would rather get soft gel rather than Apres, but I haven't even tried out soft gel. But yeah, I only have one thing of Apres, and I bought them off of Amazon when they were like on sale. I got them for like 24 bucks, and I barely use them. I was using them for a hot minute because they are sculpted, but my nail beds are flat, so I have to use so much gel, and that heat spike is no joke, baby. I think I'm gonna go with a 3. So when sizing your tips, you really want to make sure that the top of the tip fits sidewall to sidewall without you having to apply a ton of pressure just to get it to fit. So like when I flatten these down, it's way too small. That 3 is a little big, but it's good enough. I think this is a 3. Yeah, that's a 3. It's a little big, but it'll do. Yeah, it's a little big. And that 2 is way too big. That it's hanging off the sides. So we're gonna go with a 3. One thing that I like to do with my tips is I cut off that very tip to like blunt the edges. Yep. And now she fits perfectly. Because oftentimes I notice, especially on these ones that don't have like the little, some tips have a separation between where, I guess it's like a guide for where you should place it. I'm out of the frame. A guide for where you should place them. But these don't have it. So oftentimes I've noticed when I leave the little pointed area on, it like makes it wider. But when I just cut off that very tip, they're not as wide. So I don't know the science behind that. There could not be any science. It just could be me. I'm gonna use my Young Nails Pen Cure lamp because I use gel to apply my tips. Okay, so my pop-off method. If I was not going to pop these off, I would have did all of my cuticle work, dehydrated my nails with acetone, and then went straight in with my Young Nails rubber base, especially if I'm using the product to go with it. I have the Light Elegance Air Bond and Tack. I use those for my Light Elegance products. I have the base gel. I had the base gel for Young Nails. I dropped it. I have the base gel for Young Nails. I use that for my Young Nails products. And I also have acid base nail primer. I do not use this at all. I don't use acid. This stuff is scary. Acid base primer is scary, but it is from Tammy Taylor, and she pretty much goes with almost anything. I haven't had any issue for the times that I have used it on other people. I put it with everything because it is an acid-based primer. Yeah, I have it. I rarely use it, and that's about it. Pretty much what I'm saying, especially for gel products, I use the primer dehydrator for the products that it's intended for. If I don't have that dehydrator that the product is intended for, I use acetone. Okay. So going into I'm not going to add any primer to this nail. But I am going to do another wipe of acetone. And I'm going to really scrub that acetone in. T. I have no idea what I had paid for except the fancy box. I really scrub that acetone in. I'm going to go in with the Diami Peel Off Base, and I'm going to focus this into the center of my nail. I should say center to edge of my nail, because this is just a normal gel curing peel off base. And I use this in company with the Jello because no matter how good I am at using that Jello or how careful I am with removing it, it always takes the top layer of my nails, and quite frankly, my nails are already damaged. So I do not need them taking what's left of it, okay? But I keep away from the free edge as well as the top cuticle area. And I pop that into cure, I think for a full 30? I think for 30. So this is curing for 30, and then after that's done curing, I top it with the Jello peel-off base, and that is my pop-off method. That's the pop-up method that I like to use because, one, the nails stay on until I warm them off, and yeah, I'm very heavy-handed when it comes to filing. So now that that is cured, I'm gonna go over top it with the Jello. I just finished opening up my bow palette. And what are you supposed to do with the pasty ones? Okay, so that's what I'll do as a design then. I will use the bow palette and show you guys some cool ways to use it. Ugh. You talking about this palette right here? Yeah, I'll use this. Okay, when I'm applying my Jello palette, my Jello peel-off base, I scrub her in. I do not do a thick overcoat layer. I quite literally scrub her in, pulling back my extra skin and scrubbing her in. You have to remember the Jello is a base gel, so it has, you're welcome, it has a bit of adhesive ingredients in it. So I really make sure that I have a nice even layer of her in, and I'm scrubbing her in. That's how I ensure that she has that grippiana. Okay. This is why it takes, like, this right here is the reason why I have like 10, 12, 1,500 hours worth of video footage, is because I quite literally take my time doing my own nails. Because I've noticed when I rush and try to quickly do them, that's when I have problems. Making sure it's free from my sidewalls, it's not leaking. I'm gonna pop that into cure for a full 60, I think. Yeah, I think you cure for 60 seconds. I could be wrong. I don't know. I cure for 60. Ooh, where's the tip? That's not it. That's a 4. Yes, my desk gets so crowded so easily, and it's no one else's doing but my own. You better keep up now. Don't give up now. Let me love you. Okay. Alright, so that's fully cured. Now I'm going to apply the tip on. I like to apply the tips with the LGN Pro rubber base. This also is a base gel that has some adhesive chemicals in it. So typically, should I really get into this? Because I'm not very knowledgeable on it. I know like very little. Okay, so take this as a grain of salt because literally the information I have on it is a grain of salt. So there are a difference between base gels. You have base gels that are recommended for hard gels. You even have some base gels that are made for acrylic. These base gels tend to have some type of primer base chemical in the base gel. How much? I don't know. How little? I don't know. But it has some type of adhesive chemical in it that when applied to your nail, it creates a very what is it called? I don't know. Let me stop because I'm not that smart. It creates like the perfect base for your nail and it gives something for the gel products to really clean on top of. Rather than regular base gel, I think this is base gel completely made for just gel polish, which creates a tacky surface for your gel polish, your top coat to really cling to. It's two different things. Sometimes it's made of the same products. However, the percentages that the manufacturer uses in creating these products are different. Therefore, it makes it different products. And that's kind of all the nail the nail art manufacturing world is. It's the same products, the same chemicals being used, except they have different percentages. They're pouring a little bit more of this rather than this to create their base gel, their gel polish, their this, their that. So, yeah. Wrong thing. All right, there's a little quick expose on manufacturing gels and the difference between a base gel for hard gel or soft gel application and base gel for gel polish. Okay. I need more space. Okay, that's perfect. So I like to apply the rubber base onto the tip. Just like how you would apply a full cover tip. And I'm going to try to make this as straight as possible. I'm never good at putting my tips on straight. I'm like quite literally terrible at it. And I'm curing it. Okay. Okay, perfect. As straight. As straight as it will be. Okay, now I'm going to pop this in to cure in my big lamp. And it's going to cure for a full 60. You guys, we've been on this live for 2 hours and 28 minutes. If you've been here this entire time, thank you. Thank you very much. If you just got in, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm not good at lives, but I'll try to get better. Okay. Alrighty. So just making sure that my sidewalls are okay. I'm gonna gently take my 180 and gently go over these sides of this tip. I'm really trying not to scuff up my Jello, but I'm just trying to lay down the little bit of the side of the tip that's sticking up. And I'm using my 180 because it is a lot softer of a file because it has less grit. And this one is heavily seasoned. I do not use this on anyone else but myself. So, okay. And just pretty much doing it to the same, both sides. And I'm just gonna gently remove some of that. Okay, these are pinchers. I'm gonna use this. So these are pinchers. I'm gonna use these a little later, but I don't want to scare you guys when I pull this out. So I'm letting you know what they are now. Okay, I'm not gonna file too much of the tip because it's quite flimsy, especially since I have a base gel on. It is flimsy. Okay, so I'm gonna take my rubber base again and I'm gonna go over the entire nail. So just to give you guys like a little, when I'm not doing a peel off method, what I'll do is I will clean my nail, dehydrate it, apply the tip on with this, completely blend the tip. Completely blend the tip. And then I will do the method that I'm doing here. But because I put on that peel off base, I cannot blend the tip as much as I usually do. Like, I make it look like it's growing out of my own hand. That's how well I blend the tip. But I don't want to disrupt that Jello peel off base that I have underneath. So I'm not gonna focus on blending the tip. I'm just gonna focus on making sure that the nail tip has a little bit of base gel on so that the hard gel has something to grab onto. I'm gonna take a little cuticle pusher, a wooden cuticle pusher, to clean up some of that gel. Okay. I'm gonna pop this into cure. I hope it's straight. They don't, low-key don't look straight. Okay, let's see. What do we want to do? Should we go New Year's? Okay, let's see. Because normally how we use this palette is with, okay, how should I say this? Normally how I use this palette is if I was doing like a detailed marble nails, or since it is glitter, technically it's glitter. All of this is just a gigantic glitter palette. For the ones that are a little bit more chunkier, I will try my best to encapsulate it into the nail. So I guess I could do that. I could do a little encapsulation method. And if that's the case, I'm going to use my crystal clear rather than my peach perfect, or I can use both. I'll use both. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong brush. I need that. The hardest part about these brushes is that I haven't quite figured out which one's which, colors wise. So sometimes I'm like, I have to like grab them all and pick them all up just to figure out which one I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna encapsulate it. So I'm gonna put down a little bit of base gel. This is the yogurt base gel. And I'm gonna prime my brush, so just kind of rub that base gel to loosen up the bristles and make it easier when applying this chunky glitter. I'm gonna go in with this one, this little silvery one. And I'm gonna apply it onto the nail, right on top of that base that I just put down. They're really pretty. Sparkle. And because it has gel incorporated all throughout it, you can really press that glitter down and get a nice cool effect. Okay, I'm gonna put a little base gel down so I can ombre some of that glitter down. So going from the tip and just pulling it down, wiping off the excess. Going above the little line, wiping it down, clearing off the excess. Again, going above that line indication and pressing it down and wiping off the excess. Ooh. Bling bling. So I'm gonna cure this and then I'm gonna come back and do a second layer. Okay, just waiting for this to finish curing. Wait, why the hell did I put it on 60 seconds? It's the gel. So going back in to that, I think the name And this is the only name I remember. I think this one is called like Cookies and Cream. That's the only name I remember too. And just adding in a second layer. Okay, I was just gonna wipe it with my finger, but I didn't want y'all to get on me. So I'm gonna take this and just kind of wipe along the edges because I still want to keep my shape. And I'm just doing the second layer. I'm not gonna pull this second layer all the way up because I want it to be as ombre as possible. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of that base gel and pretty much do the same thing. Swipe it, clean off the excess, and with a very light hand, swipe it. The reason to why you're doing it with a very light hand is because it's gonna pick up some of that glitter, and when it picks up some of it, it's also gonna apply some back down. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's like the same effect. Pick some up, at the same time it's gonna lay some down. And that's how you ombre without using an ombre brush. Okay. And again, taking this, swiping the edges, just to keep my shape. And we have this beautifully long nail. Okay, I'm gonna cure this again for 30 seconds, so I'm not having it in the lamp for a millennium. Let's do some Pat Pat gel actually. Because I have little, I think I have like little stars. Just waiting for this to cure. So here's my little booklet of stampings. And I have these little stars. And I think that'll be cute to put on the nail. So we're gonna do something New Year's-y. New Year's thing. So I have these little stars. So I'm gonna use these, I'm gonna put them down. Grab my silicone tool and press. Stay down, mother trucker. We'll do a little baby one. Let's do one of these. And we'll do a little baby one. Let's actually switch them. We'll put, if it gets off the thing, this one here, this one down here. I need new needle nose tweezers. Yep. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna grab my Pat Pat gel. Blush Dreams. I got this from AliExpress. I guess I'll just just do it on the palette. I'm gonna apply some down. I'm doing white. I like to use 2 separate squares. I also put down a little bit of base gel as well. So first I'm gonna take my sponge and I'm gonna dip it into the base gel. Before dipping it into the white paint. The white gel. And I'm gonna go over the stars. Okay, now taking that second sponge, just in the clear base gel, I'm going to use that to blend out the harsh edges. And I pretty much just go between the two. The sponge with paint on it, to apply paint or gel, and the sponge that has nothing on it, to blend out the gel. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove these so they can give us our effect. I'm just gonna throw these away. They're not like they're sticking well anyways. That's clear. Ah! Why did I do that? Oh, not that. Oh fuck, I'm fucking it up. Okay, let's add that star back on. Let's try to paste it perfectly. And who cares? I'm gonna cure. So I don't mess up anything else. It's gonna be covered anyways. There's no need to fret. It's gonna be covered anyway. It's okay, Desiree. It's gonna be covered anyways. It's gonna be covered anyways. I kind of want to do. This might be okay. I don't know. I might not like this, but I have this cat eye. We'll see. Because everything is cured, so I can do whatever I want. It's a very sheer cat eye. Oh, but I wonder if it'll cover up too much. up too much. But let's put it all to one side. Yeah. I think I'm moving too fast, you guys. Ooh, beautiful. So then it becomes like a little peekaboo. Oh no. Babe. Aaron. I need your help. I need your help. It says that my quality has gotten poor, so now it's skipping. Wi-Fi?
Almost 3-4 hours.
Jesus. Is that the reason why it's like kicking me out now? Mm. Mm. Okay, I guess it's back now. I'm so sorry for like the skips. We have terrible Wi-Fi because we're out in the country. We're in the countryside of Germany where the Wi-Fi sucks. Okay, so if you missed anything, I added some cat eye to do like a little peekaboo little moment. So I did the layer of this one is called Cookies and Cream. So I did about 2 layers of that ombre before adding some stencil stickers. And then from the stencil stickers, I added cat eye on top to do like a little shift. So as the nail moves and stuff, you will kind of see the stars and the stars will a little disappear. If you want to add like a color on top, you can. I don't think I'm gonna add a color. I think I'm gonna keep it silver. So next I'm gonna grab Peach Perfect to begin to do an ombre. Let me clean up a little. Okay, so now we're going to start with our application. It's going to be pretty basic. First, I'm going to do a little ombre. So I'm going to mix, kind of like really push this product into my brush and scrape off the excess. Because we're going to create a slip layer. And that slip layer needs to be as thin as possible. Then once I get to where I kind of want it to end, I will like thin out the edge of that very gently. So now I'm going to pick up a really tiny bead of the Peach Perfect gel. And the reason to why I picked up a tiny bead is because technically what I'm going to build the bulk of my nail with is the crystal clear. I'm just using this Peach Perfect to be a bit of an ombre. So I like to put the little bead in the center and then push it up towards my cuticle area, not getting too close, just close enough. And a great rule of thumb when it comes to applying hard gel, or any gel at that, is to keep the right side of the brush on the right side of the nail and keep the left side of the brush on the left side of the nail. And from there, I'm gonna grab this little liner brush and I'm gonna use that to drag it down. And if I need to add more, I'll pick it up with the liner brush and add more. And I'm going to use the very tip of the brush to kind of flatten out that ombre. If I like the way it looks and it's not running, I will cure that. And then I will go in with another layer. And then after that, I get the look that I like. I'm going to stop with the Peach Perfect and I will move on to encapsulating the entire nail with the Crystal Clear. So we're just curing. Another way you could have done it, and sometimes might be a little easier, if lay down the Peach Perfect first and then ombre the glitter on top. That's a little bit easier because ombreing with the gel or glitter is a lot easier than ombreing with something that's quite stiff, like a hard gel. So I'm pretty much going to do the same thing. Pick up a really tiny bead. Because one thing I like to keep in mind is pick up what you can control. Me, I can control medium-sized beads and small beads. And when I'm doing something so concentrated like an ombre, you really want to just pick up what you can control. So if you was to go and try to do the ombre with such a large bead of gel, you won't have enough time to keep up with it. And the gel is going to start to run and move and all this stuff before you can use it. And I'm pretty much doing the same thing. Keeping the right side of the brush on the right side of the nail. Keeping the left side of the brush on the left side of the nail. And just making sure I don't overwork the gel, because that is what causes air bubbles. And you don't need to use too much pressure. Gel is quite easy to manipulate. Just remember to tell yourself that you work the gel does not work you. You work the gel does not work you. And again, I use that liner brush to add on the parts that are missing. Okay. I like the way that looks, so I'm gonna pop it into Cure. And after that, I'm done with the Peach Perfect. I'm then gonna move on to the Crystal Clear, where I'm gonna add the bulk of the nail. Okay. Clean off some of this Peach Perfect. I literally have very little Crystal Clear left. Like, very little Crystal Clear. Very little. I'm gonna pick up a good amount. And I'm gonna scrub that into the brush. Really scrubbing that into the brush. Wiping off excess. And then using that's on the brush to use as my slip layer. And I don't go in and grab more, I just rub into that. Because what I've learned is that if that slip layer is really thin, then the gel, how do I put this? Liquid moves to liquid. That's why, like, you know how like when you put two droplets of water next to each other, they will slowly start to merge into one? Gel is kind of the same way. So if you put a large puddle of gel on your nail and then you go in to then add another large puddle of gel on the nail, you're going to notice that they move into each other really quickly, and it becomes a bit of a mess that you have a hard time keeping up with. So to kind of combat that and really make sure that you have control over your nail and the products that you're putting on the nail, you want to do a very thin slip layer, because then there's not much gel for that bead to kind of self-level into, so you have a little more time to work with it. And we're talking about like seconds of a time. It's not gonna slow the process down completely, but it'll give you a little time to get the look that you want, or perfect your look, I should say. So now I'm gonna pick up a pretty decent, what is this, bead of gel, and I'm gonna let it form into itself so it's a little easier to apply onto the nail. And I'm literally gonna place it to the center, wipe off that excess. And you see, I have a little bit of time before it really starts to self-level. I'm just gonna take some, push it up towards that cuticle area, not going all the way to the top, and going around the cuticle area. Same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to take all of that and start to work it down the nail. Once I get to a spot where I'm like, oh, I need more gel, I'm going to go in, quickly grab a bead, pretty much do the same thing. Apply it onto the nail and work it down the nail. You can go in and perfect it a little bit more. The important part is really getting that bead all the way to the tip. And then after that, I'll take my liner brush with a little bit of gel in there, and I'll use that to apply more gel to my side walls, and to the side of the nail, pretty much everywhere that I missed a little bit of gel. I'm gonna apply some gel there and work on that cuticle area. I'm gonna pull some of that gel off the tip, pull it up, and I'm gonna flip it over. And this time, I kind of let it self-level. And if I feel like I can't control it, I will pop it into the lamp. But if I feel like I can add a bit more gel and still control where it's going, I will add the gel and then fix it to where I like it, pop more in. Pop more in, pop it into the nail lamp. So I feel like I can work it the way I want it, because I gotta build up that apex. So I'm gonna grab our gel and I'm gonna apply. And I'm just gonna take it and drag it down. And again, I'm gonna flip it over. And I'm gonna push some of that gel away from the stiletto tip. And I just like to finagle with it. Flip it this way, flip it that way. As long as I feel like I'm in control of the nail, I will work it as much as I can. But I really try to let gravity do as much of the work as possible. I used to really love high apexes. Used to really love them, but now I'm kind of more into smaller apexes. Not so much very large ones. Just enough to where it looks cute. Just letting that self-level before flipping it back over, cleaning up anything that needs to be cleaned up. Like right now, it's leaning a little bit too much to this side. Sorry y'all, I'm out of the camera view. Alright, I'm gonna pop her in. She has some divots and dips. After I cure it, I will decide if I want to fill those divots and dips in with a little bit more gel, or if I just want to try to file it even. Again, I am very heavy-handed when it comes to filing, so I might add more rather than trying to remove. Because right now, right here is a perfect time to add as many layers as you need to get the desired look. It is easier to add now than try to add later. So I'm just gonna let that fully cure for 60 seconds. And then I will scope the scenery. Are you guys still here? The chat got so quiet. Are you guys actually learning something from me? Am I educational? Am I being educational? I don't know. Okay, so, oh, it looks pretty good. A lot of things I can fix with the file. The apex is nice. It could be a bit higher, but I think I kind of like it the way it is. But to say I do, I'm just gonna make it higher for shits and gigs. So if I wanted to add more on this completely cured layer, I will pretty much start from the beginning with a thin slip layer, and the LGN Pro hard gels have a very tacky inhibition layer, so sometimes you don't really even need to do this. But again, shits and gigs, I'm gonna do it. And again, I'm just gonna grab a good amount of bead, probably like a medium-sized one. I like the way my cuticle area looks, so I'm not gonna focus on bringing it up towards the cuticle area. I'm just gonna really put it towards the center here. And again, I'm just gonna drag them across, because that's kind of the area I want it to fill in. Yeah, that's the area that needs to be filled in. And then I'm gonna maneuver the rest with my liner brush. And that's what I've learned, what works for me. Someone could watch this and go, girl, what the hell are you doing? Are you out your mind? It's what works for me. It's how I get my nails the way I like it. Some people can do all of this with a number 5 brush. I can't. I can do as much as I can with my number 5, and then I can't use that anymore. I have to pull out the liner brush. Yeah, and that bad boy did exactly what I needed it to do. And again, just gonna flip that over. Allow it to gather in the center of the nail. It's a bit of a long process, yes, but the outcome is nice, and most importantly, it's something that you can control. Gel can get very scary, especially when everything starts to do what it wants to do, like flood the cuticle area, flood your side walls. That's when it gets wicked. So just work in layers, work in steps. That's gonna help you be comfortable. And the crazy thing about it is the majority of all of this that I'm doing right now is gonna be filed off anyway, so. Now we got a beautifully even nail with a few lumps and bumps, but nothing that a nail file can't fix. And we got a gorgeous cuticle area that's not overly flooding the sidewalls. Perfect. I'm gonna pop that in for 60 seconds, and then I'm gonna wipe off the inhibition layer and we can get into filing. And after we get into filing, at this point, I would probably add a bit more sparkles and bling bling to the nail because it's New Year's theme. Who doesn't love bling? But I'm gonna end the live after I finish showing you guys how I shape and file the nail because we've been on live for almost 3.5 hours. So yeah. I love how I was like, I'm only gonna spend 2 hours max doing a live. But I will always be happy to show you guys anything that you have questions or concerns on, because that's the reason why I started my channel, to build a community of beautiful people wanting to progress in their nail art. I was just gonna cap it without wiping it, but I'm gonna wipe this one. Okay. So I'm gonna dip into my swipe. How I make my swipe is about 95%, 70% alcohol to like 5% acetone. And that's how I create my swipe. Because look how easily it removed that inhibition layer. And the LGN Pro has a really thick inhibition layer. So listen, 95% of 70% alcohol, Jesus. And the rest, 5% goes to the acetone. And that's how you create a good, decent swipe. Okay, filing. When filing stilettos, especially something long like this, the first thing I'm gonna do is the sidewalls. This here. So one thing you don't want, oh, I forgot to use the pinchers. Look at that, I done got distracted. Okay, typically in the middle of curing, I would have pinched the sides, but I forgot to do that, so it doesn't matter. So filing, you want to keep the file parallel to your sidewall. You don't want to turn her in. You don't want to get underneath that, because what can happen is it'll cause you to overfile this little area right here to where it creates like a little divot. I don't know. It's like a little divot amongst your sidewall. You don't want that. That's pretty much it, because what that means is that you're overfiling your side parallels. So you don't want that. So you want to really make sure that it is straight and leveled to your sidewall. And I'm just probably going to do 1, 2, check, 1, 2, check, 1, 2, check, switch to the other side. One thing I can notice from looking at it right now is that this side is very heavy with gel, while this side is not. So again, I'm just gonna 1, 2, check. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Facing the other side. Check. Okay. That's good enough. So now I'm gonna do the other side. Again, basing that. Check. That's good enough. A little bit more. Okay. I need to. My 100 grit. That one's gonna be better. I do not go over a 100 grit. I don't use an 80, especially on gel nails. 80 grit files are way too coarse. Way too coarse. So you want to make sure that you're only using at most 100 or a 180. See, got 100. She knows what she's doing. You guys, I applied at Cricut. And you know I did. This always happens to me. I always apply my tips Cricut. If they can make anything if they can make a robot do anything, please make the robot apply my nail tips. Because baby. Now at this point, I wish I had Ray-Bans because I can really show you guys how I'm looking at it. Right now, it's still a little obtuse on this side, but I'm not gonna file this. Instead, I'm gonna start to work the top of the nail, and then I'm gonna come back and look to see if it's still obtuse. Because oftentimes when you're looking at the nail, especially over top, and you're looking at it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's still a little too curved here. So you start to just go in and overfile that side, and you're gonna realize, oh no, I've overfiled at this point. Most of the time, it's because you need to even out the rest of the nail before going back and checking that sidewall. Because right now it's perfect, it's even, it's straight enough because I did apply the tip Cricut. So now, avoiding my cuticle area, I'm gonna work this area. So how I hold my file is I have it in between this, held here with this, and I do it a little bit closer because I have tiny hands, chubby but tiny. So I can't grip the whole file, but I can grip some of it. So this is how I hold it, and then I'm gonna go around. Ouch, that hurts. Make sure you guys base it, especially if you did the pop-off method, because you don't want it coming off prematurely. And this thing is long. So pretty much what I'm trying to explain is that when I was filing the sidewalls, I really was only filing this little area. So if I'm still looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's still uneven, it's not the way I want it to be, and I start to overwork this little area right here, I'm gonna then overfile. And then it's really gonna be like, then this side's gonna be way too skinny, and then this side is gonna be normal. And so oftentimes what it is and why it still looks obtuse on one side, or it still looks like it's a little too heavy on one side, it's because you haven't evened out the rest of the nail. Now that I've somewhat evened out the rest of the nail, she doesn't look too obtuse. She's still a little Cricut, she's leaning, but that was because of how I applied the tip. So if you're much better at applying the tips than me, she'll look a lot more straight. I love hand filing. I would like, if I had the arm strength to hand file everything from like, I mean quite literally everything. If I had the arm strength to do that, I would. I have so much more control with my hand file than I will ever have with my drill. So oftentimes I hand file everything, literally everything, until it gets to my cuticle area. Then I will pull out my drill. Okay, now I'm still looking at it and she's still a little fat here, so I'm gonna file there, much better. Much better. Now I'm going to go the other direction. Okay, now let's make the tip sharp. Okay. And now I'm gonna go underneath and do that. The only time I ever do that is with stiletto. I don't do that for my square, just for my stiletto tips. And honey, she is as sharp as she's gonna get. I'm sorry for the quality. It's because I'm like jumping everywhere to file. Okay, and that is my stiletto. That is my sharp stiletto. Now I'm gonna do my cuticle area. I'm just gonna use the sanding band. Normally I would go in my 5-in-1 bit, but I don't feel like pulling that out. I'm gonna put my sanding band on about 15. I'm gonna pull my Ipponichium back, and I'm just gonna gently, keeping it parallel, I'm gonna go over that cuticle area. This nail is getting in the way, it's too long. Beautiful. Hot dog. And this is it done. I'm gonna dust everywhere. We can wipe her down with a little bit of swipe, just to further remove any dust, and then I'll go in and buff. Go in and buff the nail. This nail is so long. And guys, I haven't had my nails this long in forever. So my sidewall, look at her looking straight and clean. Notice a little hiccup. Boom, baby. That is my stiletto with a soft apex, good structure. The nail isn't flimsy, so that means that it has good structure. I'm going with a base coat. Actually, let me wipe her down a little bit because she's looking dusty. Dusty indeed. So now I'm going to go in with my base coat. So we can see all of that beautiful work. Our little peekaboo stars. Not me concentrating so much that I got quiet on the base gel. I'm gonna wipe those edges so I can keep that beautiful shape. I'm gonna pop that in secure. And we're curing, and after that I will top coat. And then you can go in with bling. Yeah, you can go with anything you want. A little more sparkle sparkle. Well, before you put the top coat on, go in with bling or anything like that. After I put the top coat on, I am probably going to exit the live. So let's add our top coat. Okay. I'm being very careful to not flood my cuticle area because I worked so hard to get her so clean and neat. Okay. Now I'm gonna pop that in. And to kind of get some of that shape back, I'll go in with my 180 file and just gently file the side walls. But I really only do that for my stiletto because I want her to remain sharp. And I added that base coat and that top coat on top. So it's gonna kind of thin, what's the word I'm looking for? It's gonna kind of like warp the stiletto tip. It has 60 seconds to cure. So yeah, the next couple of videos that are going to be on my channel, it's going to be the testing out the nail liquid IV kit. That's going to be a bit of a longer video. And then of course I have some nail tutorials that I've been having in mind that I want to do. And I'm going to gain up the courage to actually do them and post them because nail tutorials don't really do that well on my channel. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Babe. Aaron. Oh, I don't know where he went. Alrighty. Sorry you guys, I don't know why it keeps going in and out of Like, my connection is really bad here. 1 minute it says that my quality is excellent. The next minute it says that it's poor. I'm so sorry. We do have very bad Wi-Fi here. I'm just happy that it doesn't affect me when I'm actually recording a nail tutorial. But here is a nail, a stiletto hard gel nail using the Nail and Yoli Bow Palette. You know, I really only used one color. But yeah, this is the nail. A nice pointy sharp stiletto. So if you try this, please beware of your eyeballs. And let me know some tips and tricks that you guys took with you, that you did not know that you knew, or you're happy that you know. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me on this live. I want to do more lives. I need to get better Wi-Fi. So hopefully before I decide to do my next live, I can get some better Wi-Fi. Thank you so much for everyone that clicked in and stayed, even if it was only for a little while. I really do appreciate it. And I can't wait to make more vlogs, more videos, more content. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. So please, 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 please keep an eye out on some videos. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway to say thank you to all of you. Yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me in this live. And please remember to create, whether it's big or small, just the act and the art of creating is a really beautiful thing, and it will bring you so much joy. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.